If 89's really what killed Wakasan 3 years ago, the ADDC's finished. Shit would be the scandal of the century.
I have a few more thoughts about this whole human experimentation theory. Mind if we continue?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so... let's say Shono did experiment on Wakusan. Why would he do that? They normally do a lot more to ensure a drug is safe before it enters clinical trials. What was his motive for testing it then?
Maybe he wanted to try his groundbreaking new drug on a real live human as soon as possible. If it worked, he'd have the cure. And he'd have it without dealing with all the red tape these things go through. It would have saved him years.
That's possible. I guess Shono was surrounded by dementia patients. One little test wouldn't be a big deal, and if it succeeded, his drug would save the world. If it meant curing Alzheimer's sooner, he might have been okay accepting the risk.
But instead of doing what it was meant to do, 89 had a horrible side effect. Death. The more I think about it, the more it feels like this is how it all went down.
It's starting to make sense.
But now, even though he knows the risks, he's still experimenting, and using the mole to do it. I know this is all just a theory, but the pieces all seem to fit together.
Going down that path, Yagami-san, that means Okubo really was innocent, yeah? But he murdered his girlfriend right after. I mean, that's why he's on death row.
Quit it, Sugiura. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So, to summarize our theory so far. It all started 3 years ago when Shono accidentally killed a patient during an AD9 test. But those tests are still ongoing. That's why Hamura had all those Kyorei guys killed.
But wait, how would a guy like Shono get wrapped up with Yakuza and assassins? Your run-of-the-mill researcher wouldn't have the cash or connections for that shit.
But what if someone close to him did?
Someone Shono knows who's got Yakuza ties? The hell could that be?
The Minister of Health, Naohisa Kazumi.
You think an active cabinet member is out hooking Shono up with Yakuza? Seriously?
I suppose the minister would have enough power. But I'm not sure he has the motive. Especially not for such a risky move.
Who else do we have then?
Someone who could get Hamura and Shono in touch. Huh.
Shigeru Kajihira, chairman of the Kajihira Group.
I'm not so sure about that, Yagami-san.
Huh?
Think about it. The murdered Kyorei Yakuza are Kajihira's men. Besides, there's no evidence of any connection between him and Shono.
I guess you have a point there.
Well, we can rule Kajihira out. Who was Shono's go-between then?
Ryusuke Kido, director of the ADDC.
Oh, I see what you mean. Kido would have access to ADDC funding. There's even been talk of him having ties to the Yakuza somehow, right? I think you've cracked it, Yagami-san. It had to be Kido.
I don't know if that's really true.
Why?
Think back to the '89 press conference. You remember the look on Kido's face? He was so proud, innocent even. But if he knew about all this human experiment shit, no way he'd look like that.
Kid's got a point.
Then maybe he was only told about the experiments after the conference took place. That would still make sense, right? First, Shono gets Kido to sign off on the '89 paper and publicly gives him all the credit. Thrilled about the possibilities, Kido proudly presents the research at that press conference. There's no turning back after that, even if he found out about the experiments. That's probably how Shono got Kido on his side. He then used Kido's funding and connections to bring in Hamura and the Mole. It feels like all the pieces are falling into place.
That means Kido's not actually the one in charge.
Right. Shono is behind everything.
Let's say you're right. When did Shono start using this guy? When was the mole's first murder?
Probably Hashki's death 6 months ago.
And why do you say that?
Hashki inching closer to the truth about '89 was a serious problem for Shono. But as we know, Shono was in a taxi at the time of the beating. Meaning someone else must have been responsible for Hashki's death.
The man in the black raincoat. He's the Mole?
Yeah, only the best of the best assassins would have the skill to do what they did to Hashki.
Can't argue with that.
Who knows how close Hashki was to finding out about the human experimentation before he died.
Yeah, and if he had, that would have been the end of the line for Shono. Seems like a plausible motive to me.
So what, everything just makes sense? I don't know.
If you have something to say it.
I mean, this is still just a theory, right? It all sounds almost too convenient.
What do you mean?
If Shono killed Wakusan at the ADDC 3 years ago, then Okubo, the primary suspect in the case, would be totally in the clear.
Yep. Already proved that in court, remember?
But Okubo, he killed his girlfriend right after. He stabbed her over and over. Even set the place on fire. Reeked of booze, too, even though he was supposed to be dry. Defend him all you want, but the guy's a murderer. That's why the whole thing was such a big deal. Everyone realized the court made a mistake. It took the death of an innocent girl for them to realize that Okubo probably did it after all. Yet here you are, claiming the court got it right, claiming Okubo's innocent. But you just don't want to feel responsible for Emi Terasawa's death. That's it, isn't it?
Enough, Sugiura! You're way out of line, and you don't know shit!
Look, I know I get swept up in my emotions pretty easily sometimes. All the same, I'm trying to be fair here.
Are you?
So if we want to treat Yagami-san's theory like it's the truth, then we'll have to figure out whether or not Okubo is innocent. If he actually killed Wakusan.
And how are you suggesting we do that?
It's simple. We just go to Okubo and ask if he did it.
You want to talk to him face to face? Meeting with a death row inmate isn't that easy.
A lawyer like you should have no problem setting that up, right?
He can't stand me, though. From day one, Okubo insisted he was innocent, that he didn't kill Emi. But I I abandoned him. Told him he'd be better off just giving up.
Fine. But that's a pretty weak excuse for not going to talk to him now. If you really want to pursue this case, you don't have a choice, Yagami-san.
Well,
Hoshino-kun,
Yes?
let's go talk to Okubo. Think you can arrange that for me?
I can try. Let me get in touch with the prison.
Thanks. I'll be at Genda's if you want to find me. Looking over the old case files.
All right.